Hi, I'm Mr. C, and we're back here at cabinet making, and what we had discussed prior. The last video you watched was on how to assemble the face frame for a cabinet. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and tape off and prep my cabinet for the gluing of the face frame on this cabinet, alright? Now you got to remember, the exterior of this cabinet is to be stained a color, or a pigment is to be added to the wood, and then a top coat will go over that. But on the inside of the cabinet, you will see all these parts have been pre-finished. We want to protect that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tape off the exterior of this cabinet to make sure that I do not get any glue on the surface, because basically it'd be really, really difficult to fix this if we ended up getting glue on it, because the veneer is so thin So what I'm doing here is I'm laying out some tape on the edge to make sure, or to ensure, that if glue does get squeezed out onto the surface, that'll go on the tape and not on the cabinet, or not on the veneer that's already there. Because as you know, we've talked about this, with the veneer is only a 32nd of an inch thick approximately. Very, very thin. And if you end up with glue on the veneer itself, by the time you sand off the glue, you probably are going to sand through the veneer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this down so that way you can see. Now see, this is the surface that I want to protect. Put this right on the edge. And now what I'll do is I have to get the inside, because like I said, this has been pre-finished, but I want to make sure that I protect the inside of this as well. So I'm going to run some tape along the inside, that whole perimeter, or the interior perimeter. And I'll show you that in just a second. In doing this, it's easier to do the major portion of this and then just do the corners and smaller pieces. That way you can get it tighter to the inside, and it's not so difficult to keep it along the edge. Okay? So like for instance, I'm going to go ahead and do this corner over here. Now this tape can sit on here for a couple days, but I wouldn't have this sit in here for a week or something like that. It's just a little bit too long. And what I mean by too long is this is too long of a period of time to have that tape sit on the surface for that long. I'll show you this in detail here in a second. But like I said, I want to protect the pre-finished interior, and I want to protect the exterior from glue getting on that surface. So that way I can ensure that if there is any squeeze out, it's not going to become a huge hassle. Now this might take a couple minutes to do, but granted, it's going to take a lot less time to fix the flaw from a little bit of, fixing the glue squeeze out than it is to fix just pulling off the tape and put the tape on. So now I've completed that. And I'm going to rotate this around. Alright, now I'm going to show you exactly what it is that I've done here. So you can see, cut glue taped along this line, so that way if there's any glue that gets squeezed out, it's not going to show on the interior or the exterior of the cabinet itself. Okay, so now I am ready to go ahead and start the glue up of the face frame on the cabinet. All right. Now you want to make sure that this is on here nice and firmly. Like I'll just go over this with my hand again, adding a little bit of pressure. But like I said, you do not want to have this tape sit on here for several days. I would say, essentially, after I'm done gluing this, I'm going to let it sit for 24 hours and I'm going to pull the tape off. Okay? Because the PVA glue for full cure time is 24 hours. So essentially at this time tomorrow, I'll take off all the clamps and I'll take off all this tape. Now, you'll see again when I go to stain this, I'm going to retape this again. But I don't want the residue from the tape to get into the veneer, because that way it will not take the stain properly or a top coat properly. Okay? So until next time, I'm Mr. C in the shop, and we're working on putting a face frame on an upper cabinet. See you later.